company based in Scotland, John Dewar and Sons Limited. We have lots of blended whiskies and lots of single malts. We're one of the biggest selling whiskies in the world, although we're not very well known over here. But we make very nice whiskey. So today we're going to try some of our nice whiskies, answer any questions. I quite like this to be a slightly less informal thing than the boardroom would suggest. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I've worked in the whiskey industry since the late 90s, so I can answer pretty much any questions that you have, I would hope. And I also like drinking wine and rum and armagnacs, cognacs, so I like general things. The team here have asked me to tell you something about me. Now, I don't like talking about me, I like talking about whiskey. But so one of the things that we do as Dewars is our little tagline is "Some things are just worth doing," and that comes from people being free to do what they want to do. So you can be, are any of you lawyers? Accountants? Neither, great. Okay. Just clarifying what we're doing today.
It is being recorded.
Yeah, no, that's fine. As long as there are no lawyers in the room itself. No, say for example you're a lawyer by day. You don't want that to define everything about your life. So maybe at the weekend you go surfing, or you're a photographer or something. That's what the Dewars thing is about. Not just being defined by your work, but being defined by what you are as a person overall. So my example, and you may all have your own examples, some of you may want to tell them, but my example is I collect records. Dusty black wax records. Some of you may remember records. I got this in Singapore this week from, if any of you do like records, this amazing record guy up the stairs in Peninsula Mall. Is it Peninsula Hotel? Yeah, there's a hotel and there's a little mall at the very top floor. Guy, anyway, this Tubby Hayes record, this set me back $300. But it's pretty difficult to get hold of, so I was excited. And in Bangkok last week, I got these little beauties. Do any of you like music?
Yeah.
Good, okay. Well, these are, I sometimes do a bit of DJing. So these are rare kind of local Bangkok, weird, really weird, it's really bizarre stuff, actually, with kind of heavy bass and people singing noises that I couldn't understand. I have no idea what any of this says. It could all be #1 pop records, who knows. Anyway, so that's my example of what I do. But in terms of how I define myself as somebody who likes records, but my job is I'm the senior ambassador for Dewars. I'm also the malt manager for Dewars, so I do all new product development, malt things, packaging, whiskey. I'm a keeper of the Quake. I'm a judge on the World Whiskies Awards, those kind of things. So I do, those are my professional things, but actually, if I could, I would just collect records. I need to do something to pay the bills. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Dewars, and I'll try and talk really quickly so we get through it all. A bit about Scotland and whiskey and everything. There's one definite Scot. Where are you from?
Okay.
All right, really. And what are you doing over here?
I'm based in Hong Kong.
Right. Okay. So you're on holiday here just now.
I'm here in business.
Right. Okay. Well, this is a little picture to remind you of home. Look. This is because a lot of people think that Scotland is a sub-region of London. So it's just to show that it is actually specifically a different country. And in terms of our whiskies, this is our main single malt. And just to get you started, we're going to taste it. So on the bottom left-hand side, although it says Dewar's 12-year-olds, we've switched it at the last minute and put an Aberfeldy 12-year-old in there. So you get to try that. So the way I like to taste Are you all whiskey drinkers? Anyway, yes, presumably that's why you're here. And you work, some of you work with whiskey, do you? No? Okay. Anybody work for Diageo? No? Just check. Evil competitor. Sorry.
Evil. Who said that?
We actually used to we used to be part of the same company, but I'll explain that later on. So I don't mind calling them evil. Right, this is Aberfeldy single malt. So it's our heart malt. The Dewar family built the distillery in 1896. We started production in 1898. So really honeyed, fruity style. I'm going to talk about the production process if I get time. But in terms of tasting, I have a specific way that I like to taste, which I think is really useful. And when we do it for analysis, it's quite handy. First of all, you give the glass a good swirl around, and then let it settle down and look at the legs of the tiers. We tend not to worry about the colour, because it's pretty irrelevant, unless you're talking about single casks and stuff. So have a look at the legs of the tiers, and they're an indicator of viscosity and physical weight. If they're running thin and quick, then it's going to be lighter in style and probably younger. And if it's thicker and slower, then it's probably going to be older. It's a general way of seeing what it's like when it's blind. Nose, and this is a great time to be nosing, because presumably none of you have smoked too much or eaten too much garlic or anything today, so you can still smell things. It's completely subjective. There's around 70 aroma compounds in any whiskey, so anything you smell is correct, unless it totally flies in the face of what I say, and then it suddenly becomes completely wrong. But with this one, have a think about what you smell. So, has any volunteers?
Spicy vanilla.
Spicy vanilla.
Fruity.
Fruity, right. Fruity's a great one. What kind of fruits?
Citrus.
Citrus. And is it citrus peel or flesh? Peel. See, immediately you start sounding like a whiskey expert if when you pick it up you start saying, citrus peel, pomelo, that kind of thing. So it's a little tip in terms of when you're nosing, if you smell fruits, go for it. Dive into what types of fruits you've got and how they're treated. So if it's apples, then is it apple pie with custard? But yeah, this is a specifically Central Highland style malt. So it's honeyed, fruity, I think it's really tasty, it's very easy to drink. When you taste it, think of the tongue as having different areas of sensitivity. So you've got sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. And with a blended whiskey, it should travel around the mouth. With a single malt, it doesn't matter. It's not meant to travel. It's not designed that way. So it's a singular expression, really. This one, as it happens, is quite a balanced style for a single malt, but that's just a quirk. With the blends, you'll notice when you try them, they should travel right around the mouth. So have a little taste. There is a spittoon there if anybody needs it. We won't criticise you for using the spittoon.
Yeah, I think Coke or ice.
Coke, yeah. I have some here.
I was a joke.
Green tea's good.
Green tea is excellent with whiskey.
This is people up.
One of my favourite ways of drinking Dewar's 12-year-old is with Darjeeling tea. I like it chilled down and sweetened with a spoonful of honey and have it as a long drink. Because I have to travel a lot, I can't just constantly drink neat whiskey. These whiskies are designed, I mean, we're serving them neat because that's how you would analyse it or assess it. But in terms of when you're drinking it, I would never, this is just a personal thing, but I would never drink malt without water. I always need water with a malt. And with a blend, I would normally drink them with ice, just because it's more pleasant to drink. But if I was in Scotland where it's a bit colder, you know, drinking it neat, that's fine because it is a bit colder. But when it's a country like this, the temperature over here is just ridiculous. I don't know how you can cope. So I'd always have it chilled down.
So it wouldn't be taboo to actually drink this with ice? It would not be a taboo thing?
No, I mean, it's just cold water. So fair enough, you're going to numb the aromas a little
Bring it
bit.
down a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were drinking white wine, the best way to drink it to get the aromas would be have it quite warm, room temperature. And you would never consider doing that. You'd always have it shut down.
Or you have a homemade spritz, it's nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's totally fine. Okay. But having said that, I did grow up with people telling me how to drink whiskey, and it irritated me for my entire teenage years. And so I'm very anti the you must drink it this way. But that's as a result of my family being overbearing and aggressive. And my family have worked in whiskey and telling me how I should drink it. This is the way to do it. Right, so that's the Aberfeldy 12-year-old. Drink that while we're talking, and we'll come to the others. These are our other distilleries in Scotland. Now, you don't have any of them over here, so it's not fair of me to talk about them, but I'm in charge of them, so I do want to talk about them. Craigellachie is one of my absolute favourites. It's really sulphury, meaty, built in the 1880s. If you can get hold of some, get hold of it because it's a really interesting whiskey. These distilleries are all heart malts for competitors as well. So White Horse is based on Craigellachie. But again, it plays a major role in Dewar's and Johnny. Altmore is another one that's used in both Dewar's and Johnny. Again, a really easy drinking Speyside. It's similar to Linkwood or Balvenie or those kind of honeyed, gentle, floral Speyside styles. Brilliant whiskey. It's rated as first class for blending, so it's one of the most sought after whiskey that you can get. Macduff, up in the Northeast Highlands. If any of you want to try a Macduff, I've got a cask sample with me. It's up at the stand. I've got a 1982 that I drew